Welcome back to Severe Impact, a WGXA Hurricane Special. Joining me now here in Storm Track Central, my colleague Clinton Bourgeois. Clinton, you recently made the trip down to Statesboro, where a group of professors and students are doing some interesting research on Georgia's hurricane history. Tell me about it.
Well, pretty much here in Georgia, we've been spared from hurricane activity and the disaster itself, but these students are saying at one point in time, the state of Georgia was a bullseye for hurricane activity, and we're overdue.
Georgia's coastline has actually largely been spared from hurricanes for the past at least 100 years or so.
That time span has formed a sense of complacency in the state.
Many folks may feel that Georgia is somehow protected, that the orientation of the coast protects us from hurricanes, and that if a hurricane were to hit, that it would be weaker.
But reality is, millions are affected by tropical cyclones every year. In fact, one of the top 5 strongest hurricanes to ever hit the United States made landfall near Savannah in the late 1800s, killing thousands of people.
In fact, we don't even know how many people died because the registration of people at that time was not what it is today.
Most of the people who are registered as dying were landowners. So you really don't get a good determination of who died. We still had slavery there.
Through research, Bosick and Welford have found that at one point, Georgia was frequently targeted by devastating hurricanes.
And at the moment, we estimate about 60 storms we found.
Welford says he records storms that make landfall along the coast, coming in from the Gulf of Mexico, and even storms that have come close enough to the coast where the storm surge can cause significant damage. He finds his information from the internet, old newspapers, ship records, and diaries. One of those diaries coming from Vice President Aaron Burr in 1824, as he rode out a storm while on St. Simon's Island.
At one point, he takes cover, the storm comes over, and he actually describes the wind.
The wind was from the north and east. It blew with the greatest violence between 11 and 12 o'clock at night.
Which it would do, if the hurricane's coming in this manner. Then there is a calm.
After which it suddenly ceased. For half an hour it was nearly calm.
Which would be the eye of the hurricane.
Then it shifted to the west, and for some hours it blew more fiercely than ever. Under this change of direction, the water fell rapidly.
Which would replicate then the rotation of the air around a hurricane, and he describes it.
The storm completely devastated the coast and killed thousands. We now have better means of getting warnings out to those in the path of a storm, unlike they did 200 years ago. But we still face difficulties. Now with millions more people and billions of dollars worth of property, the effects of a massive storm will be devastating, especially along the coast.
But we have concerns, and in particular the concerns would be that the population along the coast grows at a much faster rate than the transportation infrastructure can support it.
One example, Savannah, Georgia. Since the last hurricane struck in 1979, the city's population has grown nearly 30%. The only major routes out of the way of a storm 30 years ago are the same used today. Graduate student Sarah Kehani says studies show that Savannah and its growing population is targeted more than any other Georgia coastal city.
This map shows the spatial distribution of all 14 storms that have struck the Georgia coast from 1851 to 2000. Most storms that have struck the coast from 1851 have struck the Chatham County area.
As is the case with all coastal cities and hurricanes, time is of the essence.
The average time of formation for the Georgia hurricanes is 7 days, but the lowest time of formation that we found was 24 hours. The highest that we found was 12 days.
It's a wide variation in preparation time, but despite how much time coastal dwellers have to evacuate, it seems that no one takes it serious until the storm is 2 days out.
I wouldn't say it's, too much time, but it might be too little time.
Especially if you factor in the growing population of Savannah.
If more storms are occurring in the northern coast and more people are populated in the northern coast of Georgia, there needs to be a better infrastructure transportation system designed to accommodate to the increase in population.
And during the summer months, the population of Georgia's coast triples.
And yet we have already accumulated enough evidence to suggest that we still get hit. And in the historic record, we get hit by very, very large hurricanes.
Any given time, any given hurricane season, Georgia could be subject to a hurricane landfall.
This could happen in the future, and it could happen tomorrow, so we need to be prepared.
Interesting research being done in Statesboro, and for the second straight segment here on Severe Impact, the same sentiment. It's not a matter of if, but when.
Exactly, and when that happens here in Georgia, as I said, population has increased, therefore there are more people at risk.
All right, thanks for that report, Clinton. Now, coming up after the break, we are going to take a look back into 1994, the benchmark storm Alberto, and how it impacted central Georgia. It doesn't have to be a major storm to cause millions in damage. That's coming up next.